Hey guys, Chaos here. Today I'm going to be doing a little Let's Play of my latest demo, as well as talking a bit about the project and everything else that I've been working on in the past year. First off, some announcements. I am now on Patreon, so if you guys want to help support the channel and my various projects, the link for that will be in the description down below. Speaking of this project, I finally finished Asterisk, the engine. The engine itself is feature complete, and you can basically make a complete Shining Force fan game from start to finish. The reason why I've got a little asterisk on that right now is because while it is feature complete, there's still a lot of work that I'm going to be doing in the background. Updating a bunch of different scripts and things, making things a little bit more user-friendly, getting some tutorials out there for you guys, and really just giving it a nice once-over and polishing some things up, as well as adding all the other features that you would see from Shining Force. So all of your spells and stuff, you can create new spells, but I don't have all of the Shining Force 1 and 2 spells actually working. Those will be coming hopefully sometime soon. That's basically my next task after this once over with the script rewrite. Basically what I'm working on now is making it so that anyone can create a new character or spell or item fairly easily, and as well as a bunch of other stuff, terrain, shops, whatever. Basically being able to create a resource like that, and then being able to bundle it in a package and just kind of share it with other people, and then somebody else who isn't necessarily a programmer or able to figure out how spells work could technically just grab that script, drag it into their project, and have access to it. So that's the next step, and that's what I've been working on recently. I've got a little bit of ways to go on that, but I'm getting close on that, so hoping to finish that up in the next week or two, and then start on animating all of the Shining Force 1 and 2 spells, getting those all scripted and ready to go. So that's what I've been up to. If you guys want to mess around with the engine and play around with it, the link will be in the description down below for both my GitHub page if you want to go that route, or if you just want the standalone download, that will be in my Google Drive. So you just download that, import it into Game Maker Studio 2, which is free. Download that off the Game Maker website, and you should be good to go. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into this little Let's Play. So first off, with the title screen here, nothing fancy, but I added some randomized title messages here. So in the top left corner, this green text, that will actually change depending on what random seed you get when the game starts. Then we got our main menu here. Again, a bit rudimentary for now. It's kind of more along the lines of Shining Force CD, but I do plan on allowing, basically adding the like Shining Force 1 and 2 thought bubble stuff down the road, but those need to be scripted up yet. So anyway, our options menu, we can set the controls for the game. We got different game settings. A lot of people have been asking for a permadeath feature, and basically the way that works is if a character dies, you can't bring them back to life. The implementation for this is actually fairly simple. All it does is lock the priest's resurrection option. So if you talk to them and select the raise option, then he says something along the lines of, "Sorry, I can't bring the dead back to life." So that was actually a fairly simple thing to do. Now, if your main character dies, it doesn't delete your save file or anything like that. It doesn't reset the game, but I don't really see a reason to do that. At least not right now, but could be expanded on in the future. So we got our cheats menu. 3 are currently enabled and working. The other 3 are not. I've got them in as placeholders, but the actual functionality for those are not in yet. So we've got control all the units, something that people have been bugging me about since day 1. Apparently it was a cheat code on the original Shining Force games, and, you know, I didn't even have spells working, and you guys wanted control all units, so, you know what? Finally added it for you guys. Then we got unlimited gold, self-explanatory there, basically sets all prices in the game to 0. And buy all items is kind of similar in the way that it sets your shop inventory to the debug shop, which just contains a master list of every single item in the game. Like I said before, invincibility, infinite magic, and infinite item use, those will all be coming eventually. Just right now I don't have them fully functional. I do have plans for achievements and stuff later on. I'm not quite sure how I want to handle that, but that'll be coming. And then the challenges menu up here that I can't select yet, that will be coming also fairly soon, hopefully. The way that works is it's a bunch of non-canon battles. So if you think of the secret battle from Shining Force 2, or in Shining Force CD you have the museum battle, things like that. That's my idea for the challenges menu. Basically a bunch of set battles that are non-canon that really just kind of allow me to get crazy with some different battle ideas, things that don't necessarily fit in the main game but are just too cool of ideas to pass up. And so the way that's going to work is you will not be able to get to pick your team. All of the characters, their stats, their levels, their equipment, all of that is chosen for you, and what enemies and battles and stuff you're facing, that is all set as well. So it's basically hard mode, if you will. Kind of forces you to use some characters that you might otherwise not use, and put you in situations where you kind of gotta figure out how you want to handle things. And yeah, so should be pretty fun when I get around to building those. Anyway, we have our new and load game. Those work as they did in Shining Force. So we can go ahead and name our character here. Holding down the left and right, up and down buttons, those will scan through all of the items there, so you don't have to keep pressing the button. And if you don't name your character anything, then it will fill it in with a default name. Now, the default name is actually set on a per UI controller call basis. So if you look at a game like Shining Force 2 and you're naming your character at the start of the game, it will default to that. It'll default to Bowie, and if you call the controller mid-game, to name Kiwi if you recruit him. Then you can default the name there when that's called during whatever cutscene you want. So that's basically how that works. We've got an option here for difficulty settings. And right now, it does put the difficulty setting in your save file. However, I don't actually have, like, the difficulty settings do anything. So, it will remember what option you chose, but there is no difference right now between easy and insane. And then if you hit... because this is actually a custom decision menu. It's similar to the yes/no menu that you see in Shining Force, and that's actually one of the upgrades that I did. Is you can put basically however many options you want on that, set whatever icons and whatever those things do, and it's all fairly modular and whatnot. And if you hit the cancel button, it will default to one of the options, basically whichever one you choose. So, in this case, it defaults to normal if I cancel it. Would I like to play the tutorial? We've got another built-in option here that doesn't do anything right now. This is a placeholder for once I actually add the tutorial to the game. Which will probably be the last thing that I do in regards to the whole project, because this tutorial is actually going to be a canon moment in the game, and unlike most games where it's just either a non-canon thing or just shoehorned in there, like you're supposed to be the savior of the world, and yet you have to figure out how to crouch under a tree or something like that, learn how your legs work. I don't want that, so it's something that I've been thinking about for the past 2 years. How do I want to get this tutorial to work? And I finally have a really fun way of doing that, but unfortunately I won't be spoiling it here, yeah, it'll be interesting to see when I come up with that. Like I said, it's kind of based on what happens in the game, and you can't really... it's hard to say without spoiling anything. The way I have it set up is where it fits, for lack of a better term. Anyway, we get this little cutscene that plays at the start of the game here. Chests work as they do in Shining Force, so you can have either gold or an item in there, or they can be empty. You can go ahead and read a bookshelf by walking up to it, pressing the inspect button. You also have your menu here. So if you press the select button, this comes up, and you can manually hit the search button there, and it'll do the same thing. Now, the important distinction between that is... See, in some games, if you're looking at like an NPC or an interactable object, and you press the select button, it'll default to whatever that inspect button does instead of bringing up the menu. The reason why I have it actually bring up the menu 100% of the time here is because, let's say you have a character and you want to talk to them, and they're kind of injured, one of the injured guards in, Guardiana, and you can talk to them, or you bring up the menu and you could use an item on them, like a medical herb or a antidote or something, cure them, and that could trigger some other cutscene event down the road. So that's why I basically made a distinction between the two instead of having it default to the search function. So here we're meeting our buddy Max. He's a bit of a overexcited character, whereas our character is more of a realist. And in regards to the different cutscenes and whatnot, the animations and stuff, so having the character jump or shake their head, nod their head, that sort of thing, those are all handled within the engine itself, so you don't have to make a separate nod head animation for every single character. Basically what it does is it grabs the character's head position, and it just moves that back and forth, that small little section. So it saves a lot of work in terms of having to create a custom animation for every single character. So that's kind of how those events work. And obviously a character like Xeon, which is a giant head, that would technically be a little bit more difficult. But there is a way in there where you can add a custom animation if you really wanted to. Anyway, we're in town here. And same thing, you can inspect things, go inside buildings, and the roof layer disappears. In Ashenwood, I have basically every roof layer disappear, reappear all at once. You can actually set that on a per trigger basis. And the way it works is this tile here, as well as the doorway tile, those are actually two trigger tiles. One triggers the roof on, one triggers it off, and all it's doing is flagging a bunch of different layers to visible or invisible. And so you can basically just change whatever layers that those trigger on a per tile basis. So that's kind of how that works. So if you wanted, each building to be its own layer, then, feel free to do that. I personally find it's a bit too much. It's more work than what it's worth. So anyway, we have to go talk to our healer right now. Go meet her at her house. However, if you go ahead and try to leave town, then your buddy stops you. So the way that works is there's a... When you go to leave town, or walk to the edge of a map, rather, there's a script that it gets called, and one of two things will happen. Either it will call a cutscene if a cutscene exists, or if a cutscene doesn't exist, it will try to move you to the next room, assuming that there is a next room. And so, with a town like Ashenwood here, that you would basically, on the cardinal directions, you would set what map is adjacent to it in that particular direction. So if we head east, then it puts us in Ashenwood Forest, and that is actually dependent on story state. So as these different cutscenes play through and whatnot, every main action that you perform in the main linear storyline, that updates this running number variable that you can use to check for different scripts, like, oh yeah, when you're leaving town and you don't have your healer, then play this cutscene. Or as we'll see at the end of this cutscene here, Max runs off and we gotta go find him, and same thing as before, if you try to leave without him, then you get stopped and a different cutscene plays. So, an interesting note about this particular cutscene here is that Sierra's dad is right over here fishing, and Max was basically ready to knock his door down, but he didn't actually react at all. I could have made him react and join in on the cutscene. I didn't really feel like it. And I guess my little headcanon for that is that Max kind of does these things on a daily basis, and he's been doing so for the past however many years it's been, so long that he doesn't really care at this point, or he's just kind of used to it. So that's why he doesn't really join in on the cutscene there. We have our cave lighting system down here, so this is actually really cool because this is all fully dynamic, so all of these light sources that are drawn are actually basically just primitives, a circle at a certain radius. You can also do the same thing with sprites, so if you wanted to have the old traditional pixelated cursor sprite, whatever, light source, whatever you want to call it, where you have a solid circle and then it starts dithering towards the end, you can do that. You can basically write out a message in Microsoft Paint, import that as a sprite, and have that work. All you do is just make sure that the light source itself is white. Technically, you could use whatever color you want, but if it's white, then if you add a color to it via script, then that white texture gets converted to whatever color it is, and then that could draw different colored lights without having to redo, draw a blue sprite and a green sprite or whatever. So, colored lighting is implemented. Kind of hard to see here, but the torch has a small little reddish hue to it on the light source. But different color blending and stuff works. So if you have a blue light and a red light and they overlap, you get this little purplish color in between, and it's a lot of fun to play around with. There is a hidden item over here, so search the barrel and get a healing seed. Regarding your different chests and things like that, each container has basically, it has like a parent variable to it. So chests have the chest tag and barrels have the barrel tag and whatnot. So you can actually set up a new one of those, plug it in, and then just have that give you the correct message, whether you're looking in a barrel, a vase, a chest, or whatever. Regarding chests, bookshelves, NPC dialogue, all of that, all of those are technically cutscenes now. So if you trigger one of those, by default it will perform whatever the default action is. So loot chest, read bookshelf, or NPC dialogue. However, if you have like a custom cutscene, like this, where if I talk to Max here, it is the NPC trigger, but it's performing a different cutscene. All you would have to do when setting up the dialogue is basically just replace the NPC dialogue string with the string of whatever that cutscene script would be. So makes it nice and modular. And we get an annoying cat blocking our path. So we have a custom character up here who will walk around, and NPCs can actually use stairs as well. So if they're wandering around, they can basically move as you would expect them to on stairs. Stairs are usable within battle as well. So that's the thing. This is a custom cutscene here, and this is basically here just to show off that you could have cutscenes give you items and stuff. Technically, cutscenes can do basically anything, as long as you know the different actions and whatnot to get there. So, much like with containers and whatnot, your different search actions, depending on what you're searching, will give you a different message. So this one's investigating the area. Bookshelves say, oh yeah, you look at the bookshelf, or reading a sign is, oh yeah, you investigate the sign. And like I said, all of those are basically just a single string that you have in there. And if you need to build in another one of those, you basically just copy paste an existing one, slap it down below, and you're good to go. So we got our shops here. You can buy your items, and if I give it to Max, I can equip the item or not. And this guy over here is the items vendor, so you can buy different things like that. Now, the way these are set up is all 4 of these are actually treated the same. They're all shop scripts. So, buy, sell, repair, and deals. Buy aside, sell, repair, and deals are all... They're all basically like built-in scripts. So, it's technically a shop. They have an inventory set up alongside them. They're just defaulted to no items because, neither one of those actually does anything. Repair and sell doesn't actually pull up the shop UI to actually buy anything, because you're not really buying anything. So those work. Deals is similar as to how it works in Shining Force. So right now I don't have any rare items because I just started the game, but if you have a rare item that drops and you sell it, then it would get added to the shop tag. And the way that works is any item in the game that has a rare item tag, maybe it's got a shop inventory tag on it, I don't remember, but there's an item variable that tells it what shop to go to. So if it's a rare item, then it would go there. Now, all 4 of those options, as I mentioned, are technically shops. So if you wanted to, say, remove the repair option or deals, for example, you could have the buy option say weapons, and the deals option say items, and clicking on one would bring up the weapon shop. Clicking on the other would bring up the item shop. You could have 4 different shops here, or whatever you wanted. So that's actually a lot of fun. If you wanted to create a custom shop, such as like a costume shop, and have its own UI or something, I don't know what different custom UI or whatnot you would need for those, but if you needed a different custom shop window other than what you see on screen now, you could technically do that, because I have a little built-in area for what UI system gets called there. But you would have to script up your own UI window, because it's impossible for me to know exactly what you would want for that. But yeah, so all of these can be different shops if you wanted, and it's pretty much very flexible as to what you can do with it. Also, in regards to shops, and the same thing goes with the church guy, buy, sell, repair, those prices are set on a per NPC basis, so all of your items have a value associated with them. So, like, medical herb has a value of 10. However, if you sell it, then that gets multiplied by whatever the sell value is, in this case, 0.7. So the shop clerk will buy it back for 70% of what the actual item's worth. And you can have buy prices that are 200%, so they could, jack up their prices really high if you wanted, or whatnot. So if you have a really poor town that's being ruled by some evil dictator and they have to jack their prices all the way up and rip the player off, you could totally do that and then set a story flag that, once you overthrow the evil count or whatever, then that the prices go down or something. Really, you can get super creative with what you wanted to do with all of that, and it's a lot of fun kind of playing around with all of that. Let's see, do I have anything else in here? Oh yeah, this guy over here, the innkeeper, kind of shows off that you can basically add whatever options you want to your cross menus as well as your decision menus. So, for example, the buy option, that is a system that is coded up in the game. So, buy is a valid option to use. So, I can plug that into the yes-no menu, like you see here, the decision menu, or a shop menu, or wherever, and it will pull up the shop UI. And so if I wanted to be able to sell something to this guy, I could replace one of these options or add another one. So, as long as the cross-menu function exists in the game, you can basically plug it into here and have it work. So, this guy is basically here to show you that you can use your cross-menu functions within cutscenes and different scripts. And, yeah, so if we talk to this guy, then we get his dialogue message. Otherwise, we get this little menu here and, default thing. So he has, every NPC has a dialogue script that gets called, and they also have a secondary dialogue script for if in the case like this where talk is an option, then it'll go into that one. So if you think along the lines of Nova from Shining Force 1, the main talk script would be whatever pulls up that party management system, join, leave, I forget what the other options are, but that, and then you can ask him for advice and have that script play. So that's basically where that system would come in handy. Another fun little Easter egg here is in regards to monsters. So video games always do this where, you kill a monster and all of a sudden it drops gold for some unknown reason. Like, why would a wolf have gold? So in my game, it's not necessarily the fact that, the wolf has 10 gold on them. It is an actual, bounty reward. So, every time you kill a wolf or something, then you get some reward money for that. So, that's a fun little, I don't know if I would call it an Easter egg, but what's the term? Trying to patch oversights, if you will. Anyway, we have our priest character over here, and this here is actually like a table object. There's a an invisible controller on that, which basically extends the search radius by 1, and that's basically how the counters and stuff work for these guys. So this tile and this tile over here are basically treated the same way. There's a another object there that when I interact with it, it extends the search radius in 1 by whichever direction I'm facing. So we've got our church menu here, and same thing, we've got our talk option here. And then we got our party management here, so if I try to add somebody to the battle party, well, I can't do that because everybody's already in the battle party. And then I can also kick people out of the battle party, and if you try to kick your main character out, you get that message. And that's not actually set to like the main characters per se. You can have that set to whoever you want. Basically, all of your characters here have a can leave battle party tag, so you can kind of force certain characters to always be in the battle party or not. And again, all of that can change throughout the course of the game as well. So in the case of Shining Force CD, you could technically kick Natasha out of the battle party, except when the party gets split up and then she's the leader of the other party. So you have options for doing all of that. And then we've got our help menu here, which is basically just the default church functions. And those all work as they did previously. So in regards to raise, as I mentioned before, if you have permadeath set, then the priest would say, have an alternate dialogue message. Cure works as it did. Promote is kind of an interesting one because classes got like super redone in my engine, and the way that works is in Shining Force 2, if you promote a character, you have your regular promotion and you have your special promotion. And a lot of people were asking me for like tiered promotions, so being able to promote a character twice, and that's all possible. You can have however many promotion options you want and different choices and whatnot. And the way that works is every class has a list of possible promotion classes that it can qualify for. And so something like a mage, right, would have both like wizard and sorcerer as options. And when you choose the promotion option when your character is a high enough level, which level is actually variable as well, so you don't actually have to be a specific level for all classes, because the way it works is it looks at all of those different options and then it reads those class scripts and checks for the requirements for it. So it checks for, are they at least this level, or do they have this item in their inventory, or whatever check you want. So you could have it require gold, or all of that stuff. And basically, in Shining Force 2, when you have multiple options, it basically just kind of cycles through the options. So, oh yeah, do you want to promote them to special class? Oh no? Okay, well then how about this regular class? And so, in this case, if you have like 20 different options, you could basically just kind of, it goes down the list, so it tries out. It fills an array, and then it goes down the array, and it's like, okay, do you want this one? No. This one? No. This one? Yes. Okay, cool. Here you go. And then each promotion event has a script tied to it, so you can have it do something, some bonus feature if you wanted. In the case of like Sorcerer, for example, it would just remove the item from your inventory. but you could get super complicated with it if you wanted to as well. So, yeah, I think that's about all there is to say on that regard. I don't know if there's anything else in town that I have that I can play with. There might be. But, I think, oh, you know what? There is one more thing. So, actually there's two things. So, first up over here, there is a little, Easter egg to, Stardew Valley. When I was first making, Ashenwood, this area reminded me a lot of the area in Stardew Valley, which you get the keycard from. So, I decided to toss a little, Easter egg to that in there. And then, if we go ahead and search the other side, then we have the Ring of Chicken, which basically is an item in the game that you can change your character's appearance. So if the character wears it, then they appear like a chicken. So if I go ahead and equip Max here with the Ring of Chicken, then it changes his appearance to that of a chicken. And so the way that works is items have a variable on there where if it's equipped, it could change their portrait, their overworld sprite, or their battle sprite. And if they have multiple costume items equipped, then it goes basically down the list. I forget if it's the offhand item that overrides the main hand or if it's the other way around, but it basically checks to see each tier if there's an override or not, and then it uses whichever one is first in the priority list. So that's how that works. And then you also have a tag for any item that's in their inventory, and then that would be set on a per character basis. So your costume items from Shining Force 1, for example, you would just, in the character code, look for, oh, do they have this item in their inventory, and then set their sprite to this when setting their main sprite. So all of those options are available, and if I have Max go ahead and give this to Jason, then it should allow me to choose what item I want to trade for. So now Jason has the Ring of Chicken, and Max has the Healing Seed, which is equipped now for some reason. So I'm gonna have to fix that. I don't know what I don't know why that broke, but for some reason he has the Healing Seed equipped now, and that's not supposed to happen. Anyway, characters. Yeah, I forgot about that. This character here is set on a path, if you will. So this character will move a set path, so you have your NPC circuits around, and the way that works is there are 4 directional tiles, and as the character walks and they stand on one of the tiles that changes direction, then they'll start moving in that direction. So basically what each tile does is when they stand on that tile, it updates several stats, which could include what direction they're walking, their movement speed, and I think that might be it. I feel like there's like 1 or 2 more variables in regards to that, but I don't remember. So yeah, that's basically how that works. Is there's just a bunch of arrows that you put on the ground, and then you tell an NPC that, to pay attention to those tiles, and then they kind of walk in that direction. So anyway, we have battle mode here finally. So we get a little cutscene that plays at the start of the battle here. Now, this cutscene was kind of a pain to make because there is no actual transition between the cutscene and the battle. So normally you could have a cutscene play and then just restart the room with a quick screen fade and then put whatever characters are actually in the battle. But in this case, I didn't want that to happen. I decided to have like a seamless transition. So again, in most cases, you're always going to have these three with you anyway. However, if you didn't, so if you talk to your person over there, if you're doing a Jason solo, for example, and you kick the other two out of your battle party and you come with just Jason, obviously that cutscene wouldn't necessarily work because it would try to have a character nod their head or move on screen when they don't actually exist, and then that would throw an error. So I actually have two, I don't want to say two other versions of the script, but I wrote a check within that cutscene that if the characters don't exist, then it just kind of skips them walking in, and it just pings their portrait and stuff rather than locally. It grabs it from the global variables. So this way it doesn't break. Anyway, we are now in battle. And something else I wanted to do with that cutscene is kind of treat it as a bit of a tutorial. So, a lot of people who are playing Shining Force for the first time, I know I didn't know this back in the day. If you reach a different destination, like walk to the next town instead of, battling all the NPCs, you just kind of go around them and get your leader to the edge of the map or, the other town. That's a valid victory condition. So, I decided to give a little hint as to that in here just to make the player aware that that's an option. Now, obviously that won't always be the option on the different battles and whatnot, but here it is an option. So, again, same setup as the previous room. If you get to the edge of a map, then it gives you the cutscene ping, in which case, since we're in battle here, if I leave, then the cutscene is set to the retreat from battle cutscene, and if I hit yes, then it would have me retreat, and if I hit no, then it would keep me here. If I retreat and come back, it won't play the cutscene again because I just have it that on a story flag, so we won't see that cutscene again if I leave and come back in. And then same thing if I get to the other end of the map, it'll just transfer me to the other room without a cutscene transition because I don't have a cutscene over there. Actually, it might tell me, it might ask me if I want to retreat. I think it does that. I forget how I have it set up. But anyway, this battle I kind of wanted as a bit of a tutorial without it being a full-on tutorial. So if you skip the tutorial, you still have access to like a little bit of information anyway. And then, as we'll see here in a minute, I added hidden units and a monster generator on the map as well. So yeah, there are 3 victory conditions for this battle here. One is to just walk past the wolves around the other way and just leave. And then the other victory condition is to kill everything or kill the main wolf. So we followed that wolf into a trap, and now all of a sudden we are about to get ambushed. So, in regards to monster spawners and all of that, and AI triggers, and basically, basically what's going on here is these tiles here have a region associated with them. They're region 2 by default. All region tiles are set to 1. This is set to region 2, and these guys have a reveal state of 2, so if the player is in region number 2 or 3, 4, 10, whatever, then these guys show up on the map. And this generator, same thing. So if the player is in a specific region, then they spawn in. So that's kind of how that works. Now, if you sent your characters up and around this way, this region up here, I believe, is either 3 or 4. I forget, but if the player gets too close to here, then these 3 will spawn in. I don't believe the other 2 spawn in if you go up. And then the AI and whatnot, those all change depending on what region you're in and where you're at on the map. Oh, sweet, I got a crit. Let's see, what else? Another thing in regards to battles is every battle has different properties associated with it. So, for example, in this battle, we're only getting half XP, so there's an XP modifier variable that basically grabs whatever XP you would have gotten and multiplies it by some amount. And I believe that amount comes after the XP cap, so if you have a let's see, if you got 50 XP and you had a modifier of 200, it should give you 100 XP, if I'm not mistaken. I forget how I have that set up, but I'm pretty sure it's after the fact. And then another thing is in regards to gaining experience. If a character, for some reason, has more than 100 experience, like 300 or something, then they would level up 3 times in that script. And the amount of XP rolls over. Unless they're like max level, then it gets set to 0. Let's see, and then in regards to battle properties, there are different conditions for victory and losing the battle. Let's see. Obviously, default is kill everything, or kill the boss if a boss exists, which is basically an enemy that has like a specific character flag on it. So, like, characters will have a specific death flag script so that when they die, then it runs as some other event, and you can set whatever variables you want there. So, you could have a bunch of like mini groups, and like if you kill the boss of one group, then all of the AI of the other guys update and do something different. So you could have them all blitz the character that killed him, or have them all start retreating and running away, or making stupid decisions, because, you know, why not? And then every enemy has, and I should say every character, has basically an array of just like empty flags that you could set. And so you can essentially use those however you wanted when checking for, you know, in their like AI scripts and different battle cutscene states and whatever. So you can get super complicated with what the AI does and doesn't do. Alright, how are my guys doing? Alright. But yeah, and then in regards to victory and loss conditions, those can be basically whatever you want. Some built-in ones right now are reach destination, which is, you know, you just walk to the edge of the map, or stand on whatever tile sends you somewhere else. You have killed all enemies, killed important enemies, you know, like the boss or something. Those are like the three main ones. There's also a counter for rounds, so every time every character has had a turn, and that also includes double turns if a character gets more than one turn per round. So you could have different checks and stuff for that. So you could have something like, oh yeah, like have this endless wave of enemies coming down, and you have to survive, you know, at least 20 rounds or something. There's basically a bunch of different crazy things you can do. And oh yeah, factions is another one. So if I pull up the mini-map here, the actual mini-map area here, this is drawn by the game itself. So it looks at your room size, and then it sets the size of the window to like a scaled down version of that, and then it basically just draws your room. Also, like within that box. So I think each 24 by 24 tile gets like moved down into a 4 by 4, I think. Either a 4 by 4 or 6 by 6. I think it's a 4 by 4. So it scales the whole thing down by 4. And then yeah, your different factions. So each faction has their own stats and like relations to other factions. So obviously you got player and enemy, and they're hostile towards each other. But you could have another faction that is, you know, good relations with both, or maybe they're hostile towards everything, including themselves. And then each faction has a variable for what color they display as on the mini-map, and I think that's about it for factions. Oh, and each faction has a party size. So the player faction by default has a size of 12. Any like enemy faction, even though they have a size, you can still put more than that size on the map, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. It's really just for like player factions. So if you're controlling 2 different teams throughout the course of the game, you could have one team of like 4, and even though you had got 12 characters to choose from on that team, you can only choose 4. And then like on the other team, you know, you can have as many as you want, or 12 or whatever. So those are all fun little variables that you can play around with. And then what also pops up on the map is modular, so I could have chests and things like that also pop up on the map if I wanted to. I think that's about it. Yeah, so if I end this guy right now, it should give me battle cutscene win. So when you win a battle, there's a script there that you can trigger that tells it what cutscene to run. In this case, it just fades out, restarts the room, and spawns my character where he was before the battle ended. So that's kind of how that works. And then if I head this way, then we get the end of the demo cutscene that plays. So that, I believe that's about it. Trying to think if there's anything else, but I believe that's it for now. So is there anything else I missed? It's been like a crazy past year, and all of this stuff is in my brain right now, and I don't remember every feature that I added to the engine at this point. Let's see. Stairs work in battle, so you can walk up and down stairs. It moves your character diagonally. And then there's teleport tiles. Those are also on another video of mine, where if you walk into a specific teleport tile, then it will fade out and then teleport you to wherever that other tile is, and then fade back in. Pathfinding and everything else works through that, and it'll generate your movement range beyond that point. Laser Eye, Prism Flowers, Burst Rocks, those are all in the game and implemented. And I think that's about it. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, I'll see you next time.